The gambling gaming genre. Desperate or ambitious individuals outwitting a variety of dastardly cheaters using their own intellect. Kaiji, No Game No Life. Squid Game, Akagi, the anime about Mahjong, where I seem to know even less about it than when I started.
Do you understand what's happening?
Not a clue.
Each of these are true exemplars of the genre. The tones and stakes can be entirely different, and the protagonists don't necessarily need to be geniuses, but at their core, these shows are focused around the challenge the characters face within these games. Therefore, the most important aspect is that these games are clearly understood. After all, the audience can't be engaged in a match if they have no clue how the game is played. Akagi never explains the rules of Mahjong, but in every match the side characters constantly narrate what's going on, what our hero needs, why it's so difficult, and so on and so forth. Essentially, it's critical the audience understands how each game functions, and only after that can you introduce cheating into the mix. Liar Liar is the absolute worst thing you can possibly make in this genre. The rules are utterly incomprehensible, the games are blatantly unfair, there's no danger of the protagonist losing, and every player, and I mean every last one of them, will suddenly pull out the most bullshittiest of special abilities. Take this 100-meter race between these two. First one to cross the finish line wins. Simple, right? Well, the girl used her special ability to summon a motorbike. Yeah, well, he's got a motorbike cancelling ability, but she's got a cancelling ability. But he's got a cancelling ability, so he wins. Cool, I bet the writers of the other shows only wish they dreamed of making a better game than this one. Oh wait, sorry, this is the anything goes race. Well, in that case...
And... Oh, what the hell? You shot me!
Pretty sure people will agree with me on this one.
I kid you not, this is by far the least bullshit game out of all of them. In every single match, the characters pull out the most unbelievably broken and unheard of abilities out of literally nowhere. It makes every single game not about skill, intellect or cunning, but about who's got the bigger wallet. Oh yeah, these abilities aren't about giving handicaps to certain players to better balance the games. Gracious me, no. The way to get abilities is by buying them, and there's no limit to how many you can accrue, or when you can use them. It doesn't even matter if they're legitimate or not. Worse still, the abilities are locked for players who are lesser ranked, so if you're poor and starting out, you simply have no chance to progress. But if you're rich and can at least read, you're completely set. Hence, if you're dirt poor, it doesn't matter if you're a genius or not, you simply cannot win.
If we use everyone's skills, we can pull through this together. Tobias, what are you doing?
Throwing money at the problem.
Okay, money isn't the solution to every problem.
It is if you've got enough.
That's not an exaggeration, by the way. A lower ranked genius playing against a higher ranked idiot has no chance of winning, as every single one of these abilities utterly breaks every game. Doubling your time per move, reducing your opponent's turn to 1/10 of the amount, taking 2 turns instead of 1, changing the player mid-game, adding another effect for a card, changing the opponent's screen to trick them into believing the rules or even win conditions are different, changing how many points something is worth, literally adding hundreds of players to your side, taking control of 3 turns of the opponent so you can literally just win, and even changing the rules mid-game without warning. Well, I say it breaks the games, but I have no clue how most of them even work, as the rules are as clear as a mud-smeared brick wall.
で、手札がなくなった時点での獲得枚数を競い合うわけ。要は相手より多くカードを取るゲーム。引き分けたらそのカードは両方場に残って、次に勝った人が総取りね。プレイヤーが持ってる10枚ずつと最初から場に出てるボーナスカード1枚の合計21枚がこのトライアルに出てくるカードの全部だから、基本的にはこの過半数、つまり11枚を取れば勝ちなんだよ。
それでカードの優劣ってのは
これだ。
なるほど。なんか平民が弱すぎないですか？
平民はね、貧弱な分他のカードにない特殊なスキルが設定されてるんだよ。
これだけだ。
そう、どっちが来るかはランダムだけどね。A の方が強いね。そうだね。B が回ってきたら最初からかなりのハンデになると思うよ。各カードのスキル発動条件は場に残るのだ。つまり引き分けの時は能力を発揮できる。
結構バカンキのスキルばっかりですね。
まあでも相手の芸人が朝にぶつけない限りガンダムだから。それにどんなスキルがあるか今回最初に潰されるし、最初の3ターンは私たちにとっては最悪の展開になるが。でも、なぜこそ潰される？どうの感じ？まず、有利が確実に封じた平民スキルを2つ、獲得が大幅に増やせる爆発的成長と、来月に狙えるドライブとね。
では、ちょっと3なんですが、まだこれも潰れるの。
有利に出たら関係数があるの。
そうか。消した関係数平民なの。俺がアンチを必要にして、必要だったところに戻します。シフトでこれだけ成長に戻って、大幅にチューブ。
そう、それでも私、有利が発達しそう。この3本、7の2つを取れそうだね。
Hey, look at that. I've talked so much about the abysmal nature of the games, I haven't spoken a word about the plot. Perhaps here Liar Liar can redeem itself. So bland protagonist number 2084 arrives at this academy, where everyone's rated on how well they can play games between 1 and 7 stars. He ends up accidentally challenging the bestest player and taking her star, which it turns out is a special red star, which makes it look as though he has the highest rank. AKA, this beginner is now seen as an incredibly talented player. Not willing to be humiliated that a commoner beat their best player, the academy leaders decide to give him their support, allowing him to pretend to be a great player but in reality cheating his way through every game. In return, he goes along with it as he wants to stay at the academy, for some vague reason. Oh yeah, the woman he beat turned out to be someone merely pretending to be the real bestest player, as she's been kidnapped. The end goal then becomes Akagi acquiring all 7 unique stars, each with their own ability to toss onto the ridiculous pile he was freely given. And that's the gist of it. I would say the stakes surround the fate of this woman as she's been mysteriously kidnapped, but turns out that's not even true. She just wanted to go to a regular school. Can't exactly blame her, as the only thing being taught here is how everyone you meet is a competitor and you should always stay in your level. No, the true stakes of this show is whether this dull brick will lose any game, and that is honestly it. If the protagonist loses once, the shocking secret that he's a 1-star will be revealed, and shock horror, he'll be forced to leave.
Oh my god, no!
So not only are the stakes pitifully tiny, they're non-existent, as the story ends if he loses a single game. Yeah, the writers clearly weren't building some heartfelt struggle of someone downtrodden escaping an abyss, nor were they exactly building an ambitious genius striving to be the very best. No, the focus is supposed to be around the joy of watching this underdog cheat his way through the unfair games, which would be fine if the tone was light-hearted, i.e. the heroes are enjoying themselves, or the games are hilariously over the top. Neither is true here. These guys are constantly tense throughout, without much fun to be had anywhere, while the god-awful games are presented in the most blandest way. You don't get the protagonist slamming down his tiles. You don't get the bombastic enthusiasm of these guys, nor even a genius unveiling their opponent's dastardly tricks. Instead, the white toast learns his opponent's strategy beforehand, flounders for a little, then easily wins, with all the fervour of Tommy Wiseau.
Hi, doggy.
You're my favorite customer.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye-bye.
There's not even any frantic side characters gasping at every moment to build up the hype. Either it's some distant crowd, or it's just them alone. Worse still, this is set in a place with holodeck technology that can project almost anything onto any landscape. And what does it do? Wow, indeed. You could have made any kind of world whatsoever. Hell, the roles involve fighters and mages, so a fantasy setting would have fit perfectly. But no, we get this barren, pinkish place devoid of literally anything. In short, the games are abysmally introduced and horribly contrived in the most bullshittiest of ways. The tension is non-existent, the presentation is utterly bland, the action's utterly lifeless, the characters range from blank slate to chalkboard scratchingly irritating, and the story is as deep as a bowl of slop.
That's just slop. Horrible, nasty loop with some sort of dusting around the outside of the plate.
To transpire, the dire quagmire of Liar Liar requires an entire tire pie and barbed wire above a mire of gunfire. And now to retire.